What is up, everyone? Welcome to Plastic Cards Podcast, the show where we break down the video game news of the week. My name's Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, Indie Game Dev Extraordinaire, Gavin Jones. Gavin, how are you doing?
Just the bestest that I can muster.
Yeah, you've got like one voice you could do, and it's like it teeter-totters. You got to watch out with that, the direction that voice goes.
Okay. Did I?
It's like you got two of them, and you got one of them. No, you're fine. It's just sometimes you go, you're balancing there. Sometimes you go into the pudding, you could say, and then the other direction, you kind of jump out of it.
Either Herbert the pervert or yeah. That
Although I liked your last week. You had a good East Coast kind of like generic, like almost New York kind of dude. I like that voice you do as well.
Oh, I guess I don't remember.
It was just top of your head kind of thing, but it was that one I did.
It really does suck. Like, I think it's okay to say it. Like, but that my silly voice is unfortunately the Cosby voice. So it's very unfortunate that that's a gut reaction. As you pointed out, I don't always notice that I'm doing it. So that's God damn it, Cosby.
Yeah, you ruined everything, man. It's just what can you do? What can you do? Gavin, how the fuck you been, man?
I've been good. Keeping busy.
Yeah.
Just the busiest. How about yourself? How was your weekend?
Good. Didn't do, you know what? I was maybe the laziest I've been in a long time this weekend. I barely left, did anything. Yeah, it was, and I meant to like go hiking and stuff and all these things you say you're going to do when you have time. And here comes a weekend and I did nothing, did dick. But I played some games, but other than that, just laid around.
I think that was my thing too. Like heading into the weekend, I was at least going to have a date. So I was at least going to get out of the house, but then we had a corona scare at work, so I'm like, well, shit, now I have to cancel that. So I was like, I'm not even cleaning the house anymore. Fuck it.
You're just scrubbing your body intensely, trying to get it off of you.
It's like when you're a little kid and you're about to go to the dentist, so you brush your teeth like 100 times to try and make up for all those times when you didn't.
You were good, right? I think he should notice. I'm sure all those cavities are just brushed away.
Why are your gums already bleeding? We haven't even touched them yet. What were you up to? What were we playing this weekend? This week?
I played. You know what? Before I go into the game stuff, I watched some stuff as well. So I watched. Oh damn! What did I watch? On a whim, or for a while, I've been wanting to watch that last Mission Impossible movie with Henry Cavill.
I hear it's great.
It was dope. It's very cheesy, man, super cheesy, but it's still really cool with just I came for the action set pieces and the whole like. There's so many double crossings. There's one scene in particular where I think everyone double crosses each other like 4 or 5 times in that one room, where it's like really I had the nukes and really it's me and then really it's my twin brothers. Like there's so many back and forths, and I love that. I didn't realize how much I love that part of Mission Impossible, but yeah, it was really cool.
That just makes me think of there's like have you ever seen the Rocket Jump sketch featuring Key and Peele where it's everyone just keeps pulling off masks and eventually one person pulls off the mask and their head is literally a gun?
I have not. That sounds awesome, man. Key and Peele were so dope. Like I'll go down the rabbit hole on YouTube. Almost every one of their skits is so fucking funny. Like you can't go wrong.
Absolute gold. Every single one. The production values through the roof. And I think they blame that on their director. Their director is super into very cinematic stuff and they just rolled with it. And like you're getting movie quality sketches.
Right.
Oh man. So you watched Mission Impossible.
Okay. I recommend it. It's definitely the action's dope. Henry Cavill is a beefcake of all beefcakes. Like I just want to follow him around, carry his luggage, whatever I can do to get close to this man. He's awesome.
Oh goodness.
Although I never finished The Witcher. I need to, now that I watched him in that, like I got a good taste, and I need to get back and actually finish that.
I thought it was good. It's one of those ones though. I will say I thought it was good. I will not defend it. I thought it was good because I like it.
Yeah, sometimes you understand that like there's a lot of holes or issues with a certain thing that you're into. Yeah, I understand that.
Right. Okay. Did you watch any other movies or play any other games?
Um, damn it. Now I'm blanking. I started random movies while I was sitting around. There was one on Netflix that was kind of terrible. It was Killing Gunther. It's with Taron Killam, who was on SNL, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it. And there's like these bunch of there's these assassins that are trying to kill him, but it's almost like a mockumentary kind of thing.
The fuck? I have
Yeah, it was very
never.
low budget and just like I think that dude from SNL, and he got a bunch of SNL people in it. So I think it's just um yeah,
Oh, is
it's
that?
just
Oh, that's the other guy that was that's married to an Avenger. So the one of the two SNL cast members married to an Avenger.
yeah, and she's in it too.
Oh, is she?
Colby Smulders or whatever. Yeah, she's in it. I think he used any like favor he had in his pocket to like make this movie because he also directed it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, it's one of
Gotcha.
the guys from SNL.
Would you recommend it?
No, it was it was all over the place and just kind of like they, because of the budget, they really relied heavily on the CG stuff to kind of make all the scenes work, and it was just really bad. I wish that wouldn't have mattered if the writing was actually like funny. It just wasn't that funny, so it
Mhm.
was kind of a bummer. But
Gotcha. I
yeah, other
do
than
like
that,
his.
watching SNL. But yeah,
Yeah, I like him as an actor. Like he's pretty funny. I feel like I've seen him in other stuff, but that's interesting.
and I
Arnold's
tapped out
looking
before
good in
Arnold showed
this.
up on screen, but
Damn.
so I didn't even get to see him. But yeah, what
Yeah.
about you?
So I finally watched The Watchmen because
Did
it's
you
it's
finish it?
still on Hulu for some reason.
Okay.
So I went ahead and blazed through that this week, and it was good. I think you may have overhyped it a little bit for me,
What?
so I probably didn't like it as much as I will. But I thought it was very good. Definitely interesting. One thing I kind of wish is there wasn't a lot of like it didn't really it would reveal something to you at the very last fucking second, and not
Mm-hmm.
really give you that many hints to it, if any at all, typically none. So you didn't really have a chance to kind of guess where things are going, like, and basically all the twists are loaded in like the last 2 or 3 episodes. So I kind of wish they'd structured it a little bit different, so you're um kind of trying to figure that out. But it was definitely good. Um, I yeah, solid. Solid show. Be interested in
I
season
think I
two.
liked it way more than you. I wish. I mean, we just weren't on the same page, but I thought it was fucking amazing. But
I thought it was really good. Also, the music was fucking fantastic.
yeah,
Especially, I don't know why the first couple of episodes, they were super moody. Later on, they start to do a bit more covers, and the covers, like the lyrics of those covers, not playing the lyrics, but a lot of times the lyrics to that songs are related to the storyline for
uh,
that episode, which was pretty clever. Um, so yeah, I thought it was very solid. The performances, um, the whole. See, the tricky thing too is I can't say
well,
anything without
let's
spoiling
just
it
say
for
spoilers, full
our
spoilers
one
now.
viewer.
We'll see if we have one viewer. We're talking about spoilers now. The show's been
Yeah,
about 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. So now
right.
you can reveal it. We've given that disclaimer for the one person out there. So yeah, I would say
I just thought the thing with her grandfather was very cool. The way she does the black strip across her face, and then when she
yeah,
finds out that he does the white strip, that was a really unique and clever twist. Um, I,
I
d-
love that.
I know the creator of The Watchmen doesn't like the show, and I'd be curious to get his take. Maybe that's part of his take is like, what did you do to Hooded Justice? I don't know.
He doesn't like anything though.
He
There's
doesn't.
one,
Yeah,
yeah, he does. He didn't like the movie, nothing. He's just a curmudgeon. But I understand
yeah,
he created such a great piece of art. You don't want anybody to fuck with it. And
right.
but I think compared to the movie, like the thing they did with the show was the best essence of Watchmen to like carry on that story and to tackle new things. So if he's gonna like anything, I think he would like the show. But he doesn't like any happiness in life apparently.
Right, but I did think the kind of switch up they did with Hooded Justice, I thought that was very clever.
Yeah,
Didn't see it coming, um, and yeah, they took some cool liberties, so I thought that was kind of neat. Aside from that, played what did I play? I played some demos, and then I played. Hold on, I wrote it down. So because yeah, I was very sad about the whole demos, which I forgot to play. So there were two demos that are still available to play. So I played Haven, which is sort of this weird otherworld game about like this couple, and they're like lost on this planet, but they're lost intentionally, and sort of dealing with that. And there's this weird corruption, like Breath of the Wild style stuff, and it was awkward. Um,
What
I
was
don't know.
awkward about it?
I don't know. Like I thought it was kind of neat the concept of like you are it's really focusing on this couple, and they're sort of fighting a bit because they're stuck together, and they're with each other 24/7. But it's sort of neat
Yeah.
like how the battle system works as a couple. You're sort of fighting at the same time using different movements. You can do stuff together for very powerful attacks, which is cool. But the gameplay wasn't fun. The battle system wasn't fun. Um, the voice acting was good, but the script was kind of awkward. Um, so
Now I'm looking at footage. Is it this is like cartoony or like anime kind of style
Mhm.
gameplay? It looks like.
Yeah, it's pretty, um, but I don't feel a
I'm
need to
seeing a
come
lot of
back.
cutscenes. Is it mostly story or is there like an actual? Okay, no, there's like a somewhat open world kind of thing. You mentioned like a Zelda-ish kind of vibe.
I wouldn't necessarily. Did I mention Zelda?
I don't know. Maybe I was just
Oh,
thinking
I
about
meant
it.
sorry. With the corruption on the ground was very Breath of the Wild with the weird
I see.
sludge.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't compare it to Zelda. I don't know. I wouldn't really compare it to anything. The
Mm.
gameplay is sort of unique, but I wouldn't call it good.
Gotcha.
So now bear in mind it was just a demo, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
Um, then I played Gloomwood demo, which is what I'd recommend you play. It's free. You can download the demo anyway. And it's sort of I guess it's a lot. It's sort of an immersive sim. I don't know if it's super immersive simmy. Um, it shares a lot with Thief.
Okay.
So it is kind of stealthy. There is combat. It's very simplistic. It didn't feel that great, but that wasn't. I didn't really mind that the combat wasn't that great, and it definitely had a horror theme to it. There was definitely moments where I was freaked out. The demo was pretty long. I think it was probably at least 30 minutes, if not 45 to an hour.
Huh.
So it was longer than I would have expected, and it was just cool. The stealth felt good. Um, the level was huge and intertwining, and it felt really good when I'd sort of solved the riddle of the level, which wasn't anything crazy complex. It was very linear, but it was good. It was very good. So
Now I enjoy
um,
me a good like Dishonored kind of style gameplay, and I know
sure.
Thief borrows or like Dishonored borrows from Thief with that. This I'm looking
Mhm.
at footage; it looks really dope. I like the. It seems like the art style is purposely made almost like a PS1 game, PS2 kind of
Yeah.
graphics, or maybe I'm looking at an old demo. But
No, it's lo-fi. It's
gotcha.
low poly. It's also from what New Blood, which that's sort of their thing. They do these
Yeah,
lo-fi, low poly games.
gotcha.
But this is probably the most excited I am for a New Blood project. I think this will be really solid. So I'm definitely looking forward to more of it. It's a really creepy world that I enjoyed
It looks
uh,
like it.
being in. And when it finally does get kind of scary, I think I'll be surprised.
Pretty
Um,
spoopy.
it's pretty spoopy. And then the last one I decided to play, for whatever reason, I didn't even know this existed, but Hand of Fate 2. So I'd seen Hand of
Not
Fate 1,
familiar.
didn't really give a shit. Then I saw Hand of Fate 2, which is fucking gorgeous. Um, and so I decided to download that, give it a play. It sort of it shares a DNA with a lot of roguelites. I would say it shares most of its DNA, like progression wise, with FTL, where you're making these decisions that really matter. You can die outside of combat because you made a bad decision or got bad luck. So it's really actually a very solid fusion between a dice heavy, sort of Ameritrash style board game or card game with uh, just a just an action game. Like you could almost compare the combat to Arkham Asylum, but it's a lot
Huh.
less. It's a lot less just giving you the win. You still have to work for it, but it flows very nicely. Um,
No, I'm looking
So
at footage of it. How essential is the card aspect to the actual gameplay? Is it almost like The Witcher, where it's like a completely separate experience, or that's tied to the whole gameplay?
it's tied. So that's how you progress, right? So you move through these cards, and then each card is an event, and you'll, whether it's a shop or a scenario, and you make choices in that scenario, and that will affect things. It can affect things future on. It typically it mostly affects things directly. Like, maybe you'll take damage or something, or maybe you can affect how hard the scenario is when you go to the fight. But it's a solid. It's half of the game. The card game is literally half of the game, and the other half is the combat. So
Ah,
that was cool. And it was neat when my choices pop up later. I don't have that many cards locked up yet. So I'm not seeing huge interactions between previous choices and current ones. Um, but it's neat. I think it's a neat game. I don't know that I love it, but I really like the concept of it. And I think more games could kind of do that. Um, yeah, it's cool.
nice.
So that was my weekend.
You
Oh,
know what I?
and just lots of Rubik's cube. I got this whole uh I get this tactile. I don't know how well that shows, but
Yeah, let me pick that up here. Yeah,
it's got
nice.
tactile Rubik's cube. And so I was playing with that, solving this thing with my eyes closed, which I actually got quite a bit better at as the weekend went on. And then I went back to my regular one where I was trying to, when I see a situation, I was looking into it. I need to be able to solve certain sections. I need to have the muscle memory so well packed that I can do it with my eyes closed. And it's definitely
Yeah.
not. So I was practicing that, which is fucking hard. So I was just doing a lot of Rubik's cube this weekend.
That's very nerdy, and I love it. Are you? You mentioned like the possible, or you had issues where you were like processing faster than you feeling the actual texture, right? So you need to be able to like, rather than figure out what that little nub is, you need to be able to like touch it and just know automatically. Oh, this is green. This is yellow. That kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. There are certain things like this side is smooth, so it's super easy to know. The yellow stuff is like a fucking cheese grater up against your finger.
Okay.
There's a little nub. But the problem is, so there's like a square. Uh, get a better one. So there's a square,
Yeah.
and then there's a circle where you can
Mm.
put your fingers in, and those feel almost identical. And then there's the shitty X that doesn't feel like much. So if these popped out a bit more, maybe a bit more obvious. Um, but it's certainly neat.
Do you
I don't
think
know
it's
if
possible to create some kind of audio based one? Like that's made that's off of touch. Is there any way you could also incorporate audio, or would that like complicate things? I don't know how you would quantify that, but like if you had yellow being a sound and green being a sound, although it'd have to know like when it's facing you to show you. I don't know. That sounds like actually that
no.
sounds like a
Yeah,
mess.
I'd go with no. Because there's like you're not going to be able to really be able to explain the state of the cube
Right.
with audio. You're even if you just make one change, right? That's so many changes to something you couldn't really do that.
Right.
Um, and certainly uh
It would just sound like a garbage amount of audio at the same time. I don't know
right.
how
And
you
the
really
problem
do it.
is there's so many combinations on this. There's more combinations. There's no possible positions on a Rubik's cube than there are grains of sand on Earth, I think is
Oh
correct.
boy. Okay.
Um so it's not really the one. I guess the most you could do is you could have it giving out audio. So if you say L1, to do a certain move, but that's oh
Right.
fuck. I fucked it up. There we go, it's fixed. But yeah, that's my nerdy hobby.
Yeah. Well, it's I celebrate it, Gavin. You know what? I forgot to mention. So I finally finished The Last of Us 2 over the weekend as well. Like
Oh,
on
right.
Friday, I actually finished it,
Yeah.
and it was dope. Such a like roller coaster of emotions. It's so crazy that it's there's no other game. I mean, this is a super story heavy game, but there's no other game that's made me feel the way this does. It's not just like the first one where it's this kind of story arc that you're invested in. They do things with characters that like are on purpose made to make you feel just like angry to the point where you don't want to play, and they completely change that and make you on board 110%. It's so nuts how they've done that. It's like it's like a novel, it's like a comic book, it's like your best the show you've ever seen. It's like all that wrapped into the gameplay, which is also the gameplay is incredibly dope and super fleshed out. You have so many options. It's like Metal Gear Solid in there with what you can do, mixed with just other examples of like the stealthiness of the game. Like it's pretty amazing. It's kind of it's I don't know what else to say. Like it's awesome. I want to tie you down to the chair. You need to next time you're just gonna wake up and you're in this room and I have the eyedropper on your eyes and the controller in your hand and you're just gonna fucking play the first one and the second one.
There we go. There we go. I watched a tiny clip from Twitch. Somebody was playing it, which really I'm trying to avoid it.
I
Um,
would try, yeah.
but I watched just a teeny clip, and it was from I know there's a secondary character you get to play when she's younger, and it's something I think that it does better than most. A big issue with games a lot of times is a lot of times they can't record the facial capture at the same time that they do the body capture.
Mm.
So it can look kind of disjointed. A big example is some of the NetherRealm games. But that being said, they're definitely recording the head, the face, the whole body at the same time. So it seems like they do have that full on Hollywood style motion capture, and that made it much more realistic looking in their movements. It definitely looked great. Um, so yeah, that game's just a looker.
Yeah, there's ability in the game that I want you to just maybe just YouTube this on its own, but they have this glass that's super. It's not dynamic. These are like kind of baked animations, but it looks like you're just breaking real life glass. It's so nuts.
Hmm.
And what I my standard like thing I do while I was playing, I'd clear out an area, especially in Seattle, I'd clear out an area and just start breaking glass like an asshole. Like every window, I'd just break it because it felt so good. The way it would shatter, the way it would like fall on the ground, and the initial oomph of you like tapping it, man, so fucking satisfying. It's all these different like systems that don't have to be as detailed, but they took the time. And granted, they have a bunch of issues with crunch and the game is extended. I get that, but the end result is this fully fleshed out, detailed game, and it's just every little nook and cranny has been like poured over with detail. It's so nuts.
There is no footage of that on YouTube.
Gotcha.
So
Well, I
you
gotta
may be
upload
the
just
only
me
one that
breaking.
cares. Yeah.
No, people have talked about it, and there's like one of the animators was breaking down like, okay, here's how we did the glass, here's how we pitched it, and like how we did the audio. There was like all these different layers and like progression with getting the animations right and things that would trigger, and then you have to walk over the glass, and that gives a certain sound. There was a thread that I had read. At least another person cared as much as I did, but just stuff like that, and that's nothing. That's just a part of the. But so many different systems that like overlay that make you feel like you're really there. I imagine you've seen in the trailer when you use the weapon upgrade systems, these little like desks, you start messing with your gun and upgrading it. Okay, like the gun animations are so detailed. The way she's just like taking apart her gun, she's like a soldier, and it's just so highly detailed. And all the different mods you can do to your gun are real life mods you can do in real life. And it's just stuff like that. It didn't have to be as detailed. It could have been just a quick animation, and we're out of there. But it's just stuff like that. They just keep up in the ante, and it's amazing.
That's awesome. Nice.
You got to play it, Gavin. There's literally no excuse. You have to play.
Well,
Well, I would say the first
now
one
that
for
you
sure.
got your PC, I won't feel so bad taking away your favorite console.
You never should have felt bad. I told you. Told you from the get go. It's open. Whenever you want it, you can take it.
All right, we'll borrow it. I'll do that. See, the tricky thing is, I'd want to beat like this is for The Last of Us, and it's like, yep, God of War.
Yeah.
I think
Well, that's another just masterpiece you got to play too. But
just a
um,
banger.
there's a lot over on the PlayStation, man. There's a ton.
Yeah. I think that's going to be the thing when this new generation comes out. I'm just going to play so many games from last generation. Is the thing. That's going to be the first thing I do.
And you know what? You wouldn't be wrong. I mean, you got Spider Man, you got God of War.
Yeah.
On the Xbox, the tricky thing with the Xbox is there are good exclusives there, but you have your PC, so you are able to dip into that. You have the
Yeah.
Gears franchise. There's one of my favorites, which is an Insomniac game. It is, oh man, I forget the name of it. It's like the first one they did on the Xbox console, but they use a lot of that kind of same style with movement with Spider Man. but it's Sunset Overdrive. There you go. That one's locked to the
Oh
Xbox.
yeah,
I love that game. I haven't finished it, but it's just so cool with what they did there. But there's a lot
yeah.
of games tied to that, but also with the PlayStation, there's a bunch. There's Horizon. There's Death Stranding. I mean, Days Gone. You
Horizon.
got a bunch there.
Yeah, I want to try Horizon. Death Stranding, sir.
That's one that I
I can't
love
be
that
arsed.
story with what they did because it's so fucking weird.
Yeah, can't
But
be arsed. All right, we should probably talk about news at some point.
we got some news, Gavin. One of the first ones here is some Call of Duty news. We got Call of Duty Warzone Season 4 Reloaded update to add limited time 200 player matches. So this is pretty nuts here. Adam Bankers from
It's gonna
IGN.
be fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, just piles of people on top of each other, just like bumping into each other, apparently.
Oh
But
my
we got
god.
some details here. Call of Duty Warzone will soon be getting a new limited time 200 player battle royale mode that will allow 50 quads of operators to fight for victory. This new mode will arrive alongside a brand new Season 4 Reloaded update on June 29th that will also add a new weapon, map, operator, and much more. Warzone currently supports up to 150 players, and this new limited time quads mode will allow 50 more players. So here's what gets, here's the details though on that. The update will have a download size of 22 to 36 gigabytes for owners of the full version of Modern Warfare, with console owners needing a secondary 3.5 gigabyte download. Free to play Warzone players can expect a download of 22 to 30 gigabytes. According to Activision, once these updates are finished, there will be a reduction to the overall footprint on their machines. That's their quote. Also, as far as the modes that go with this, Juggernaut Royale mode will also become available. In this mode, there will be an airdropped care packages that will allow players to become the Juggernaut with a minigun and high armor. Once a Juggernaut is defeated, a new care package will drop, giving someone else a chance to become the fearsome soldier. A spotter scope will also be put around Verdansk, which is the town or the city that this takes place. While sniper scopes can be spotted by other players by the glint of the sunshine when they are used, this new scope has none of that. If found, players can scan the environment and find enemies without as much fear of using a regular scope. Yeah, I love that they're increasing this to 200 players, but also what comes with the 200 players is 200 additional gigabytes basically of like this file size is getting ridiculous.
And that's limited time though, the 200 players.
It
Because
is.
that's the thing. I feel like these maps are not designed for 200 players. But that being said, fuck it. It almost reminds me of like League of Legends has this mode called Earth that it brings around every now and then. It's called Ultra Rapid Fire. The game is not designed for it. But it's fun, so we fuck around and do it. So this is just to fuck around and have some extra fun for a little bit. Expect to die within seconds of arriving. So that's pretty neat. That being said, people are going to need a separate hard drive just for this game.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, there is that quote. They said that they're going to somehow reduce the footprint afterwards. I don't know what that means. Does the game actually like on its own delete, parts of the updates that it doesn't need? I feel like I don't hear about it doing that, but maybe it does.
Yeah, I think most updates kind of do that if you're
Okay,
patching stuff like right because you're not like if I'm updating a piece of code, you're not leaving the other piece of code, right? If I'm bringing in a new asset that takes the place of another asset, you're still deleting that asset.
gotcha.
So yeah, it should be fine.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, as long as they can reduce that footprint, I think then the meme of this whole thing can kind of be to let to the past. If they can kind of bring this back down to something that's more manageable, 75
yeah.
gigs or something like that. If that's not insane already, but yeah, I mean 200 players, that's dope. I do feel like the map is big enough. There's times where I'm running around and I don't see people. Maybe I'm
Mhm.
jumping out into like unpopulated areas, but I feel like there is room there for 200 people. Although, I mean, I'm interested to see how that looks though.
Yeah. I think the thing that'll definitely come with 200 people though is like when you win a 1 versus 99, you feel so great. Imagine the feeling of beating 200 people. That's
Right.
fucking ridiculous. Gonna feel like such a badass, and somebody's got to win it. Um, so that'll be pretty neat. I'd be curious. I'd love to see them just like keep pushing it. So like, all right, today's 200. Tomorrow will be 201. The next day will be 202, and just keep growing, and see how high before this game becomes unplayable. Would be
Right.
fun. That being said, I don't think they'll do that, but I would love it if they did and just push it to the limits. I'm sure 200 is going to be tough enough as is. Really, the more people you pack into one area, the harder it is for the game to run and keep
That's true.
everyone updated properly when it's So that's sort of the benefit it has, is keeping people so far separate solves a lot of those issues.
Right.
Uh,
I wonder if they would have to eventually force everyone out at a certain point and not just let people choose where they drop, kind of like force them along the map so it does spread them out. That might not be a favorite thing or like a popular thing among fans playing it, but that might be
right.
what they have to do to actually make it runnable.
I've always wondered about that, like with some of these, like when do they actually spawn in the weapons? Is there a way to encourage people to, especially with PUBG? Like I always thought it'd be smart if they encourage better weapons to spawn at like if you're further away from people or if you're closer to people. I don't really know how
Mm.
you do it, but or for that matter, like let's say there's a town that no one's been to yet, right? Um, so if you arrive there, you're the first one there, but you traveled a long distance to get there, then it's going to have way better guns. But if you're traveling much
Oh,
slower,
interesting.
not going through a lot of towns, it spawns worse stuff. So basically, it's discouraging camping and
Yeah.
really encouraging moving about. I don't know.
That is interesting. I mean, I like that how that benefits a more positive or gameplay that's like constructive to the whole thing overall. I do imagine people still spamming it, understanding exactly what they need to do to like
Sure.
unlock stuff. But and maybe there's a argument for people wanting just pure randomness. I don't know if that's exactly how these games
Yeah.
generate everything, but maybe there's two modes they can make. But no, I like that
Sure.
idea of actually rewarding people from being good sports, basically.
Right. And that's something I've thought about too with the ring, right? Is you take, people who are moving a lot, take their average position and have where the next center of the ring is be more centered towards them. So the people that want to just sit back and chill the fuck out really have to move. Uh, but that being said, that would make it so the ring is always going to perpetually go towards the center, basically, no matter what. Even if these people are fucking off towards the sides of the map, it's always going to round towards the center. So I don't know how you fix it.
Do you remember a while back? So it was like Cliff Blazinski, who is his the boss key. His the last game they put out was their attempt at like this like open world or it was a battle royale, but they had these like quadrants that would shut off, but they were
Oh,
kind of random. They weren't like in a shrinking circle. It was just like a grid that would change.
are you sure you're not thinking of
It might have been done by somebody else, but I remember that's what the one of their
Darwin
things is.
Project? Because I mean, Clip Blazinski was definitely working on a battle royale that was like 70s themed, or yeah,
Yeah, it was like rad. It was like something kind of. It was just like
90s.
balls to the wall, maybe '90s,
Yeah,
but it was all like radical and colorful, and people shredding on guitars and skateboarding and shooting each other, and yeah.
yeah,
But I think
it
they
was,
did the
I hear it was
quadrant thing.
actually fun. Yeah, maybe they did, and I didn't know about it. I know for sure Darwin Project did a hex system,
Mm,
um, which was interesting because if the center hex got taken out, um, then that made getting around a lot harder. Um, but having that quadrant or that hex system is more true to the movie Battle Royale.
right.
So there's sort of that there. I need to watch that movie again. It's been forever and a day.
I've never seen it. I know a lot of this takes inspiration, or yeah, inspiration from that, but I've never seen it.
It's good. Yeah, it's just a bunch of high school kids and they're all given a random weapon and some of their weapons suck. And like there's a couple of kids that like volunteer to be on this island because they're crazy. It's a fun flick. It's a fun flick.
That's what I've heard. That's one I need to actually go and play here. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so we'll switch transition to our next article here. This is some more leaks on this Harry Potter game. Keep hearing little scuttlebutt about it, and this is
It's
just a
your
bit
boy
more.
HP coming to the Series X.
All right, again, we got the Avalanche
Avalanche
software.
Studios. Sorry.
No, go for it. Only if you keep that same voice, though. Those are my demands.
No, it's all.
So, we got Avalanche
All I had.
Software's leaked Harry Potter game is aiming for PS5 and Xbox Series X in the late 2021. Jordan DeVore of Destructoid has it. After surfacing in October 2018 with promising yet far from finished leaked footage, Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment's open world Harry Potter RPG has stayed out of sight. The publisher still hasn't announced the game due to E3's cancellation, but that doesn't mean it was scrapped, or put on hold. The current plan is a late 2021 launch on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, according to Bloomberg. Sources noted that the original video leak was legitimate. Most of the follow-up rumors were not, and Harry Potter project is on track at former Disney Infinity powerhouse Avalanche Software. When will we get to see it in official capacity, assuming WBIE's plans don't shift? And they could if author J.K. Rowling continues to make provocative, transphobic remarks. And then the next gen Harry Potter game should be revealed sometime after DC's fandom event in August. That's where we're expecting to see teasers for WB Game Montreal's Gotham Knights and Rocksteady Suicide Squad. As Bloomberg Jason Schreier put it, Rowling continues to play a role in most projects associated with the Harry Potter brand, and the game is no exception. However, one of the people working on the game stressed that Rowling has very little direct involvement. The developers are said to be uncomfortable with her views, and studio management reportedly hasn't addressed her recent anti-trans comments. So a big can of worms, but I guess she's been going off, saying some crazy shit online. I haven't seen exactly, but she's saying some very anti-trans stuff. Which is weird that she's like this. I guess when you get so rich, a lot of people just decide, you know what, I'm going to reveal how nuts I was or go nuts, but they just start to just like descend into this madness with so much money. But yeah, it happens. I'll take that challenge. I'll try and navigate those waters with if you want to give me some money, I'll see if I can
Kanye?
also keep my.
You're gonna straight up Kanye.
I'll try. I feel like I can make it. So give me some money and I'll try it out. I'll take one for the team.
All right.
But yeah, so what do you think about this leaked, of seeing this game? It's been rumored for a while, and and I'll pull up one of the demos here, but like this is very grainy leaked footage that came out.
Footage?
Yeah, it's very grainy. There isn't a whole lot there, but it is stuff that's been cycled around. So here is the actual thing that leaked, and I will put it in the docket and send it over.
Is the video already taken down then?
No, it's still up. And this is the one that they will apparently announce at that fandom event that will be happening here soon.
Okay.
But it's an RPG, and you're doing stuff. You're doing stuff in the Harry Potter world, and it's like kind of over the shoulder aspects of it. There is obviously magic using your wand, but I think you take control of like a new character or a character you can create on your own. And there's mostly screenshots, but there's actual like gameplay, like moving portions of it. But
it certainly doesn't look next gen.
That's the thing. This is from like 2018, so I'm hoping this has been improved upon. And this is stuff that wasn't officially showed. It just ended up leaking. So this is things that I'm hoping it actually improved upon.
Whoa, that's crazy. I could see them doing cool stuff with the solid state where because like the castle in that game is crazy and twisted. So do some cool stuff with that. Even using cool techniques like kind of like it's got destruction. That looks great. Using sort of like the portal technique like they did in Ratchet and Clank to do all sorts of weird like Lion Witch in the Wardrobe stuff. I think you could certainly do some fun stuff with this. Oddly enough, this reminded me of something. So when I was watching that limited footage of Last of Us 2, all right, that's enough of that. One of the things that I think really bugs me about games that not everyone's doing is subsurface scattering in the skin of characters. And it definitely bugged me in that NBA 2K, whatever, because it didn't look like they were doing it there, and the skin would look so much better.
So the demo with the sweat in one of the recent things, right?
Yeah, and it something that I feel like console should have been done. So we have RTX, right? So you did this built-in hardware accelerated ray tracing. I really wish these consoles would hardware accelerate subsurface scattering. To my understanding, it's not easy to do. If you don't know what it is, it's sort of a vague simulation of the way light goes in to your skin, bounces around, and then comes back out. And
gotcha.
That allows for much more naturally like realistic looking skin in all sorts of different lighting situations, which is why, I mean, really, if you're looking at The Last of Us 2, their skin looks great. They're just I mean, that's a weird statement to say, but
now Red Dead 2 did that, right?
Red Dead 2 did that, and that's why you get the whole like you can see the sun through their ears and through their nose. I'm not entirely positive that's not a separate shader, but I feel like it's probably this shader, and that looks great. That looks natural. That's how that works. So I really, if we could hardware accelerate that, and I bet you could use subsurface scattering on all sorts of other surfaces like clothing, other things besides skin. If you hardware accelerate that, you can put it on everything. I feel like everything would look a lot more natural. But I don't make the consoles.
I wonder because I'm such a dummy, but like I'm wondering, okay, the fact that they could kind of offset the whole RTX or ray tracing thing to
Mhm.
be hardware accelerated, which is a lighting kind of component. Can you do that with the subscattering thing you mentioned? Is that possible
Sure.
where the hardware takes over it, or is that does that mean when you're developing an engine, you have to kind of leave that alone and let the hardware do it, and it can't be like proprietary to your own engine?
That's the thing. So yeah, that's which one do you want to do? And so they could make it so, you can turn it on or off and use that hardware accelerated feature. But that being said, yeah, I guess there's kind of one way to do it. You can't really customize that. You still certainly have all the shaders, so you could rewrite your own and do it that way. Um, yeah. And that being said, RTX is still pretty limited at this point. Like if you look at what was that Metro Exodus, as people have pointed out, it's really only doing ray traced from the sun and no other light source in the
I
game.
see.
So RTX is even still pretty limited with what they're doing.
Gotcha. You know what that reminds me with The Last of Us, there isn't any like dedicated ray tracing stuff, but they do a crazy amount of reflections with water, with mirrors that's just like baked in stuff that they've I imagine created just manually, but it's almost like it has ray tracing in it. It's so amazing the reflections they're able to pull off, and they didn't
Right.
need that. So it's like there's a conversation for stuff that's done in house that they don't need to. Maybe they couldn't because of the limitations with the PS4. That's most likely, but they're able to still get that by creating their own knockoff thing that does that same kind of effect.
Right. And I mean, people have been doing this effect for years. They did it quite good. But in more recent years, people are doing screen space reflections, which can look very nice. And that's apparently, I guess, what they did with this, which can have little
Mm,
glitches in them. There's sort of weird effects that come with that. But for the most part, they look very good. They're often limited to stuff that's very close to the camera. I don't actually know why that is. Um, but yeah, so it tends to be kind of limited towards that, and I'm told that's kind of how it works too in like Gears 5. Um, but yeah, it's neat. I think it looks good.
gotcha. Yeah, me too. I mean, to the caveman brain that I have, it all looks very pretty.
And I think there was a thing too. I want to say they mentioned in the new Doom where they can pick areas of the screen, um, and they've done it in like a racing game too, where they deem that area most important
Mm,
visually, and then they can apply that effect individually to that area. So there's some neat kind of things you can do with those screen space effects.
interesting. Yeah, especially with Doom, like you're moving around so much. I wonder if that's hard to do, or they can still kind of pinpoint and make it so it's not wasted. Processing on stuff that you're not looking at. But
Yeah. Yeah.
nice.
Wow, look
Sky's
at
the
though.
limit.
What is
Yeah.
what is Avalanche? So back to the story though. What is
Yeah.
Avalanche working on again? What are
So
they
they're
doing?
the ones. So this is Avalanche software, which is different from Avalanche Studios. They're the ones that did the was it Rage 2, and they're like owned by Bethesda. That's different from. So I thought initially I was like the same team. It's not. But they're owned by WB, or they're owned by Disney actually, and
Oh
they're the
boy,
ones who are working on
they made
this.
Cars 3. Okay. I guess they made Disney Infinity. So that's a pretty big one. Disney
That's
Infinity
huge.
1,
Yep.
2, and 3. Cars 2, Toy Story 3, Bolt, Meet the Robinsons. I've run out of faith. Um, Rugrats in Paris the movie for the Nintendo 60 fucking 4 all the way back
Damn.
to Mortal Kombat 3 for the Sega
Did
Genesis?
they port it or something?
I don't know. A lot
Yeah.
of
I mean, but
fighting games back in the day.
interesting.
Ooh, Rampage for the 64, Rampage 2, Universal
Okay.
Tour. That game was fucking dope. Uh,
So now they're in your good graces now after that.
yes, absolutely. 100%.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, the rumor is they're going to announce us at that WB fandom event, which was tied to that other like Rocksteady announcement with Suicide Squad. So we're still a bit of ways because that's in August. So we still got a long time to theorize and figure that out. But
Fair enough. Fair enough.
now, Gavin, our next story here. Would you explain to me and educate my ass on what Pokemon Unite is exactly?
I will. Okay, let me know when you're ready to hit play on
Yes,
this
I
footage.
have the video ready to go.
All right,
So
1, 2, 3, go.
yes, it is
So
going.
So they did an amount, and there's like they've been doing announcing a few different Pokemon games. There's this Pokemon Cafe, which I don't know the fuck it is. There's this Pokemon puzzle game coming out. And so this is uh did I oh I guess
Are
this
they
is
using
the
the
trailer.
card game in conjunction?
No, the first half of this trailer is garbage. But yeah, so they're making a Pokemon themed sort of MOBA style game.
Okay.
And it looks pretty bad. Um, it's neat how they kind of got rid of the whole tower system that MOBAs use. So instead of trying to march your minions toward the tower, you're going out capturing Pokemon as a Pokemon, which is weird. So you're just enslaving these things, which I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
saying the humans
morally.
weren't. Yeah. Um, so that's weird. But I wonder if that'll lead to more combat, I guess. If you're
Hmm.
all out there trying to capture, you're going to be fighting over that. So it's almost in the sense of a MOBA, it's like everyone's a jungler, which could work, I guess. I don't know. You can play it on your phone or on your Switch, which think is cool. They got crossplay. It doesn't look like there's a lot of characters, which sucks because these games live and die on a big variety of really widely different characters, and
Yeah.
the characters don't look that different so far. Like Squirtle looked like it played like Charmander. Um, it's also made by Tencent, and no one likes Tencent. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
Nintendo, Bubby,
Well, now with
why?
the Nintendo company is like they own the rights to that, so they can do this deal with Tencent without involving Nintendo, right? Theoretically.
It's because you got yeah, because the Pokemon Company. I don't really know how the whole responsibility, but I don't think you can really do Pokemon on like you'd never see Pokemon on an Xbox or a PlayStation. That's not
That's
really
true. Yeah. So
how
maybe
it
as long as they
works.
play ball where it's on a Nintendo device and on their mobile sanctioned device, and maybe that's how they. But or Nintendo's also in bed with Tencent, and that's another approved developer entity that they can work with. But
It's too bad too because I've always thought like if Nintendo ever jumped into the MOBA genre, which is like talk about striking while the iron is not fucking hot anymore. No one's making new MOBAs. It well, I guess technically somebody is, but it would have been great if they'd done it. I think if they'd gone like Super Smash Brothers style, so you can make as many characters as you want, but actually do something different with the MOBA. Everyone, when people make MOBAs, they just make a MOBA in 3D or with different characters. Make a MOBA where like it actually plays different, where you're trying to knock people off of ledges, like in Smash Brothers. I think that could be really unique. I think you could get kids and adults in there. You could
mm,
reach a whole new audience. Um, but it's just fucking Pokemon, and it looks
right. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I was never tied to the whole, and it's crazy, but I was never tied to the whole actual combat involved in Pokemon. I was very much more like a. I mean, it sucks to say, but like Pokemon Snap, that was my jam,
which,
or other
which
things like
is
that.
they're bringing back, baby. We got
Yeah.
on the Switch, the console that was fucking. I mean, I'd say the Wii U was more boring to play it, but this is pretty fucking boring to play it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Wii U would have been better though. Having the camera, have this be your actual camera, and then having stuff going on. Man, that would have been cool.
Yeah, although, yeah, I mean, that is the bummer. You don't have the camera aspect, which you could, like, for the first time, have an actual dedicated camera. But
Yeah,
you could do a mobile thing with, like, Pokemon Go. But
yeah,
no, yeah, I always, like, for some reason, I love the Pokemon cartoon and trading the cards and, like, just not the actual gameplay with the game, even though everyone loved it and I get it. But I was more just, like, in love with the world. And so that's why I love Pokemon Snap, because it was just, taking pictures and having fun and throwing apples at everybody.
it was a fun game. It was a neat puzzle game. I don't know. I don't necessarily know that I would have been able to beat it without. There was one section where I absolutely needed the strategy guide. I don't know as a
Mm,
little kid. I mean, there were a couple of things. There was really weird. It's like you have to throw this specific thing into the waterfall, which
right.
calls out this, and then you got to knock that fucking Pokemon out right over the whirlpool, where it'll come back out as evolved. It was kind of goofy. So I wish I could go back in time, but having not played it, but as an adult and see how far I could get without a strategy guide.
Yeah, because this is really, the internet existed at this point, but it was like pre-accessible internet. So you had to hope somebody had a actual Nintendo guide or whatever, like a Prima, guide out there that you could go through. But it's like, or it was just like people telling you, oh, did you know if you do this, you throw this thing at the right time, something happens. But there was something magical about that time. There's so much mystery, like there's so much experimentation because you don't know the actual answer and the trick to get what you want to happen.
Right. I wonder, Googling to see if anyone's ever made a Pokemon Snap style game, and it looks like the answer is no. Like, man, I mean, I
Do you think
guess that's
it?
the thing. You need some sort of established IP
Right, that was gonna
to
say,
go
yeah.
with it. You can't.
Yeah, because you need people to have the drive to actually keep experimenting and keep seeing stuff happen. And if you have a dedicated or like an established franchise, that's what's going to keep you doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know what's another good one that would fit. Does it have to be cartoony? Could it be something else that's still deep?
I don't. I don't know.
You know what
I
never
mean,
caught on?
go ahead.
Oh, it didn't quite catch on at all at the same level, but Viva Pinata on Xbox 360, maybe something like that, where it's very cute and cartoony, and there's all these animals and stuff happening, and I think you do evolve or like you breed animals there, so maybe something like that, but that's only like direct correlation. You could do
Right.
something that's completely different.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. But onto some Twitch stuff. That's
Yeah, this
weird
sounds weird.
territory. And it's weird because we don't know. We should probably explain.
Right. So, I mean, I'll go through the article, and you're the resident Twitch expert, so you would know, or at least can give some insight on this. But
Yeah.
Dr. Disrespect addresses permanent Twitch ban, still no reason given. This is Chris Pereira and Jeremy Winslow at GameSpot. High profile Twitch streamer Herschel Guy Beam, better known as Dr. Disrespect, has been banned from the live streaming platform yet again, and this time it may be permanent. Rather than a temporary matter involving a DMCA, Beam himself said he is unsure of why he was banned. However, others on Twitter claim the reason could be very serious and it's not because of a copyright claim. It's unclear exactly why or how long Dr. Disrespect will be banned. Following news of the ban, Dr. Disrespect did not say anything publicly about the situation, and searching for his Twitch account yielded no results. However, on June 27th, a day after the news of the ban broke, Beam broke his silence and posted an update on Twitter addressing his fans. According to the streamer, Twitch has not provided him with any specific reason for the ban. Meanwhile, Monday's temporary suspension of Donald Trump was accompanied by specific reasoning, with Twitch even citing specific violations of its hateful conduct policy. Regarding Dr. Disrespect's ban, Twitch has offered no specific explanation for the move publicly. Of course, this move has left room for speculation. Some have suggested that it could be the result of a DMC takedown, of which there has been a flurry recently. However, this would ordinarily result in a temporary ban. So yeah, because there's no actual announcement from Twitch, everyone's just speculating wildly. I don't know what would cause something like this to happen though.
That's really the thing. And the other strange thing too is typically Twitch tells you,
Hmm.
this is it's typically a corrective measure. So they tell you what you did wrong, so you don't do it again. Or they'll, a lot of times they'll even trumpet it on Twitter why they took somebody down. So this one, it is a bit confusing. One thing, people mentioned the whole like sex like scandals we're having a lot right now, and there was sort of that incident, certain semi publicly with him where he did at a TwitchCon he cheated on his wife. So
Hmm.
there's a theory of, is this, was there more to that? I don't really know, and it's shitty to like even speculate on that. But I know it certainly has. His wife was supportive. She went on Twitter, so it makes me think not that.
Hmm.
Um, so it's just weird that they're not saying anything. They usually say something. Um,
Yeah, I'm wondering now, is there a precedent for this? Has another streamer of this level been like banned without any word? Or is he kind of like the first big
not
one
that I
to
know
not
of.
given any? Yeah, like I feel like I haven't heard, but I'm not super well known with all the like the huge streamers. But even like they mentioned in the article, Trump violated their terms, all the crazy shit he says, and they actually gave the examples and they followed with the ban. But with him, there's no info. So maybe there's like lawyers or his like publicists in the way, like keeping or trying to negotiate maybe him coming back. Maybe that's why they haven't said anything yet.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. It's
Yeah.
it's it's weird, and that's sort of the weird feeling. I and this feels bad to say, but it's just like, I feel like the general feeling is, yeah, he probably could have done something wrong, but we don't know of him doing something wrong, so it just feels itchy, the whole thing. And in general, it felt like, well, he is sort of like one of the bad boys of Twitch. Like it feels like he's trying not to necessarily get in trouble all the time.
Hmm.
Um, so it is strange. Somebody said on, I forget where I saw it, but it felt like the last stream before he was banned. They said it kind of felt like he's in character the whole time, and if there was a point in the stream where it looked like he checked his phone and he sort of exited character and did the rest of the stream just as himself. So it felt like maybe he did see it coming.
All right.
So maybe he does know. Um, I don't know. But if they are giving him that favoritism where they call everyone else out and they're not calling him out, is that doesn't, I mean, that sounds like favoritism to me as well. So I don't,
But
yeah,
it's almost still favoritism if they don't explain why. Like if they're maybe
right.
trying to give him the benefit, or because they have such a good relationship with him, try and let him fade into obscurity and not say what the thing was and hope people just forget. But it's the internet; no one forgets. But
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot of theorizing. I know I personally don't like the guy. He rubs me the wrong way.
Mhm.
The whole like character and talking shit stuff. He's not for me. But I know he has
Sure.
a huge fan base. People dig him. It's just weird that Twitch just won't say officially why. It seems like the normal route is to say he did this, this, and this, and maybe
Right.
they did tell him directly and he's just lying, or they haven't. I don't know.
Well, part of me makes it wonder if it's like almost like they're embarrassed of the reason. Like back when he first started, he do a lot of stuff that would be considered racist towards Chinese people.
Yeah,
Um and so is this like a retroactive ban, but it's like
right.
so old that it's embarrassing that they're banning him now for it. That would feel kind of weird. And he did stop that behavior once people started calling him out on it, which, to be fair, I mean, he shouldn't have done it in the first place. But, you know, if if you learn you're being an asshole, then change the behavior. That's
Yeah.
people can change. So I really don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think we will find out soon. Either, Disrespect will make some kind of announcement, Twitch will make some kind of announcement. This all just
Right.
kind of is very fresh. I think it was like late in the week last week, and then nothing over the weekend. Disrespect finally said something, but we're
Yeah.
still kind of left in the dark. So I think this week we will hear some kind of confirmation. Um,
Yeah.
Although here's my first thought was, I get that your channel itself has so many views and like subscribers, that kind of thing. You don't want to like
Mhm.
you want to keep that thing going. So people who have subscribed, they once it goes back up, they're right there then and there. But what's stopping someone from just starting another account as Disrespect, like him, starting his own account and just like creating his own, page somewhere else on Twitch and just starting it again? What stops you from doing that?
So when you sign up for Twitch, not even for a partner account, just signing up for a regular Twitch account,
Yeah,
there is a bit in there about ban dodging is against terms of service. And so even if you're
that
a
makes sense.
small streamer and you ban somebody and they come back with a new account, you ban them, they come back with a new account. Um, you can get in a lot of trouble for that, and they can, in theory, IP ban you, so you can't even connect to Twitch anymore to watch Twitch. So, yeah, nothing good would come of that.
I see.
Which is annoying to me because at the same time, that like when Shroud went over to Mixer, or certainly they're very famous with this guy named Faker, who's just a good streamer, but he wasn't allowed to stream on Twitch, so he didn't. And people would restream his stuff, and Twitch would let that stay up for hours, which is complete horseshit.
Mm,
That's just stealing other people's content.
right.
I get allowing people like maybe while people are eating, they'll watch funny YouTube videos that the community will offer up, and it's that part will get muted out later. It's fine, but yeah, that shit's horseshit. So that's always the frustration with Twitch is there's a lot of kind of double speak. There's a lot of do as I say, not as I do. So that is frustrating.
Gotcha. I mean, maybe he pops up at Facebook Gaming, in a couple of days, and that's where it's realized that he just made a special deal with them. I don't know. Do you think his brand is too toxic and everyone's just kind of separate, or does he have life on just another streaming platform?
I think you could do Facebook. I don't think YouTube would work at all for him, because YouTube will demonetize anything for any reason, and he'd get demonetized for everything. But I think Facebook, honestly, he could have worked on Mixer. He would have been fine on Mixer.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think Facebook maybe. But I mean, really, I mean, they're saying it's permanent. I don't know that it's permanent. And there's people that do all sorts of shitty stuff that Twitch doesn't permaban. So yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, all we can do is theorize, and it's just we'll wait to see what the actual answer is to all this. But he's such a huge profile streamer, so it obviously makes news when he's just like removed with no mention. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Now, Gavin, our next article here is documents leak teasing a cheaper Xbox Series X. So this has been rumored for a while. We just got more rumors on it. Alex Kranz of Gizmodo has the article here. Xbox Series X development docs distributed courtesy of leaker on Twitter tease a long-rumored second Xbox Series X. As The Verge's Tom Warren notes, the second console, codenamed Lockhart, has been rumored for some time. This is just more fuel for the Lockhart is real fire. If it is indeed in development, it will mean a cheaper alternative to the Xbox Series X, expected to launch at the end of the year. The Xbox Series X is expected to be an absolute beast of a console, capable of playing video games at 4K and 60 frames per second. They go into the very nerdy details on the teraflops and all that stuff. It's a beefy machine. The console is expected to compete with the PS5 in terms of raw power. While Microsoft hasn't said anything about pricing, the Xbox Series X is expected to be pretty damn expensive. Given the fact that many people still don't have the 4K televisions that Microsoft also and that Microsoft also has a robust cloud gaming platform in the form of Project xCloud, it makes sense that it might release a less powerful console for the people who don't need all of the Series X's raw power. That's where Lockhart comes in. The console has been rumored for some time and often mentioned in the same breath as Project Scarlet. There were two rumored codenames under Project Scarlet, Anaconda and Lockhart. As Warren noted on Twitter in March, the Xbox Series X has a snake etched into its main board, all but confirming that that is Anaconda. Lockhart hasn't been announced or even confirmed as existing by Microsoft. So this is IGN takes the rumors with Lockhart a little bit further today, stating, according to Eurogamer sources, Microsoft had originally pegged June as its announcement month for the alleged low-priced, low-powered version of the Xbox Series X, the Lockhart. The site now reports that Series S will get its own reveal, presumably in an inside Xbox-like showcase in August that supports a previous VentureBeat report. So that's the Lockhart, the Series S. They're tied together. That's that code name for that console. How do you feel? I know we talked about like the possibility of splintering, your marketplace, your market group. Are you excited or wary of like them introducing another middle tier console going into next gen?
Well, I mean, we knew they were going to do this. They said from basically the very beginning that they were going to do this. I'm just always worried about the developers. That's just one more console you have to fully test. And it's that much more you have to think about. You have to treat it much more like a PC, but at the same time, it's still considered fixed hardware. So it should, in theory, work very similarly. Um, so yeah, it's that much more to work. And then when the HD or whatever comes out, or the newer versions come out of it later, then that's no one's gonna want this fucking thing. So it's I don't love it, but I knew they were gonna do it, so I'm not mad at it. So but it does give people options, Some people
Right.
some people do want the Switch Lite, Some
Yeah.
people
See, I
give me
wonder too,
enough.
is this them also giving enough options financially because they're expecting these like full blown next gen games or consoles to be more expensive than we actually thought? So a lot of the prices that are thrown around often are like 500, 550. Is it possible that that's why, as PlayStation 5 too, for instance, is introducing this digital version to trying to like offset the cost, because that one with the disc is going to be maybe 600, 700 bucks? Is that why they're offering this other option without the disk drive to kind of offer a lower range or like a cheaper model? Is the Lockhart also response to that, giving a like 500, 550 option because the Xbox Series X is going to be so expensive? Or is that just them? Because what's the point of that? These things are just like $50 difference in price.
Right. And I don't know that that's necessarily comparable though with just like missing the disk drive, because I will if I want a new Xbox Series X, I would prefer to get the nicer of the two, but I also don't want a fucking disk drive. I don't care. So
Right.
that's why it's nice with both of those are the same, just one's missing a disk drive. So does
Gotcha.
Microsoft do here's Series X crap. We have Series X standard. Do we have a diskless version of each of those? I don't really know where you go with it, but I guess it's not hurting anybody. Yeah, maybe these are going to be sitting on the shelves because in general people don't like getting the cheap version of stuff. They want something that's going to last them a little bit longer.
Right.
But yeah, it's not hurting anybody. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you're right. It's not hurting anybody. Maybe the it becomes a harder issue with them marketing wise to explain to people, here's the one that you want, or here's
Yeah,
how much money you have. Here's the one that fits best for you. That
sure.
becomes the uphill battle, and I guess they're experts. They know what they need to explain. But I mean, we see the same thing with like the phone in the phone world. There's the iPhone S and SE, and there's all these different tiers that are
Mhm.
released of and even within like the same numbered moniker. So they do that often, and people buy it, and they're not so confused. They just don't know what to do, and they throw their phone on the ground. So maybe there's also it's just with the consoles they release so infrequently. There's so much space in between. It's a bigger deal, I feel like, or it's a bigger moment when people buy and spend because there's also no pricing points or pricing plans rather with consoles where you can pay monthly just like you do a phone. Like people are dropping $500 $600 every time, so it's a bigger deal. It's a different sell, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Um,
We'll see. I mean, we're getting into next gen for sure. I mean, the summer, we're in summer right now, and after fall we're right into next gen selling season. So we'll see what happens with this, but we're gonna get more and more info, and apparently July is when they're gonna show some more stuff off for this. So we're
The other
talking
con
about it.
the other concern is so typically these lighter versions of the consoles have a smaller hard drive. That's typically consistently what they've done.
Mm.
Is the smaller console going to be able to hold Call of Duty?
Right. It just plays that and NBA 2K, and then
Right.
you're good.
Can it hold a Cyberpunk? Because Cyberpunk's gonna eat your whole damn heart. I might as well get a second solid state, assuming it can fit on a single solid state. I might as well get a second solid state just for Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that wouldn't be insane. Now if Cyberpunk can launch with a footprint that's smaller than Modern Warfare or like Warzone, what does that say for like how they're optimizing that game?
It won't. I
It
promise you,
won't.
it
Okay,
won't.
because even Last of Us was like 100 gigabyte, 80 gigabyte range. It's a different conversation for sure. But like, I
Yeah,
wonder if these games will, if Cyberpunk will be able to just squish everything down way more than we thought, and it's just Call of Duty just not optimized, and that's their problem.
yeah. That's
More talking out of our ass, really, Gavin.
it's
That's what we do here.
all I talk out of.
I do Ace Ventura Bend Over. I just watched that recently. Actually, I watched that last week with Megan. We rewatched Ace Ventura, and it's got some weird, weird stuff. But some of it holds up with Jim Carrey just being an asshole. But yeah,
Some
it's an
peak
interesting movie.
peak Jim Carrey. That's
Yeah,
weird. Like I think we got similar mental states because we're like either watching the same movie or like somebody watches the movie that the other person was in the mood for. So that's I was thinking about watching that
yeah.
uh the other day.
I need to watch the sequel. I haven't watched that one in a while. Where he goes to Africa and he comes out of the rhino's
Yeah.
butt and there's all
That's
that
the
stuff.
main one I remember. I really don't remember Ace Ventura 1
Mm,
hardly at all. I honestly don't know if I've ever watched the whole thing in one sitting and not just chunks of it. But Ace Ventura 2 is definitely the one where I've seen it a few times all the way through.
yep. Oh yeah.
Solid.
Now, Gavin, our next article here, our story, really rather is about Biomutant. So this one, I want to give you a chance to like explain why this one is on your radar because I do see this
Sure.
periodically, but I think this one is your jam. Like, what calls out to you about Biomutant? We got a 10-minute gameplay trailer that just
Right.
dropped.
Let me know when you hit play on the B-roll.
Yes. So let me actually do the work that I should have been doing and pop it in there. And so I will hit play now.
All right. Can't wait till we're back in the same room and we don't have to deal with the
Yeah.
technical difficulties.
I might
Um,
jump. So I'm going to jump 40 seconds in the future. Can you sync with me on that? I'm just going to jump 40 seconds
okay.
on the YouTube.
Okay, let me know when.
Okay, I'm clicking it now. 40-second mark.
Okay. So yeah, Biomutant, this game has been in development for literally forever. Like I think there's a verse in the Bible. It says on the first day he said, "Hey, what are you guys working on?" Um, but they even mentioned like in one of the interviews with IGN, they mentioned they're feeling some Breath of the Wild here inspiration, and the guy was like, "I just so you remember, we've been working on this before Breath of the Wild launched." Um,
Damn.
so they've been working on this thing for absolutely forever. Um, and it's sort of a unique um not they said definitely the art style they kind of said was inspired by a little bit of Kung Fu Panda. It almost kind of has a Muppet vibe to it.
Sure.
um there's a lot of cool inspirations. It's a very unique post-apocalyptic world that does something interesting. The other thing that's impressive is I feel like each time they show it so rarely, but each time they've shown this game, and it's like years between each showing, um it's just a giant jump in quality. And the last time they showed it, it was looking pretty fucking jank.
Mm,
So now it's looking a lot more smooth, a lot more polished. The world looks absolutely huge, and it looks like there's a lot of stuff into it. There's definitely like every shot they show of the open world, there's something in the distance that I want to go to, and that seems pretty cool. It seems like there's a huge variety in combat. Hopefully, it's not trying to do too much
yeah.
with that combat. But in general, the regular minute to minute combat looks very exciting. So it looks like it takes a lot of good things from a lot of good stuff. One of the things I really like too, what they talk about is so when you start the game, you pick your class, and they sort of mentioned, well, it does sort of have more of that. Like how Oblivion, like regardless of what class you have, everyone has the same skill tree, right?
Okay.
Which is fine, but it sounds like there's going to be a lot bigger difference. That's something that always bugged me about Oblivion is there wasn't that much difference between each class. It doesn't really matter
Gotcha.
who you pick. You just do your skill tree and you're fine. Whereas this, it sounds like there's a lot bigger difference. You're really going to want to be sticking with specific weapons. So making that big impact right out the gate, but still giving you wide freedom. There's a huge customization in the weapons you're crafting. Uh, so it just looks really unique. It looks like a very ambitious take on the open world genre, but it's made from a studio of 22 people, which is crazy. Um, so yeah, it just looks really. I just hope it's good. That's the thing. We're
Yeah.
really not going to know until we play it. But if it's good, that would be so fun. It's gorgeous. It looks better every time we see it. So I'm absolutely really excited. I'm really praying it's good. And can you imagine having again like that's always the thing I say that frustrates me with Breath of the Wild. I can't just give myself amnesia and go back through and play it again. This
Right.
kind of looks like it'll give me that same thing of going out and discovering choices you make really do affect things in this game. Um, so it looks absolutely delightful. The art style reminds me a lot of Beyond Good and Evil. I don't know
Oh,
how
sure.
fair a comparison that is. Um, yeah, I hope it's good.
I wonder, have they given more info on the actual projected date? Was it like 2021 or something, or they are still not even close
They
to like
they
announcing
said
it?
they're not announcing anything until they feel comfortable with a firm date. So, and they
Gotcha.
just gave that answer. So,
Damn. So yeah, we're not maybe 2022. Like I wonder if this is more of a cross gen or next gen or what's going on.
I would probably say cross gen. He said sooner than later. I love this little hand mount
Yeah,
thing.
that's
That's
dope.
so creative. There's really so much creativity in kind of every inch of this game, which makes me gives me hope that while this world is huge, um, that it's not going to be barren. It's going to have a
Right.
lot of stuff in that world, sort of like Breath of the Wild. And yeah, that's one of the other things you kind of mentioned about the size of this world. This guy's worked on that Mad Max game and
Okay.
Just Cause I think he said all of them, or at least
Gotcha.
the first two. And and he's saying this is the biggest game he's ever worked on. So
Oh god, and
that's
those are massive.
right. And he's saying not in world size, but just in the amount of shit. So
That's good.
that's
That's what I want to hear. I don't need this like crazy enlarged world. I want it to be dense.
right. So that's I'm excited. And I it seems like a lot of other people are excited about it too. So I yeah, hopefully it kind of lives up. And is sort of I mean, this is like it seems like this guy's dream game basically is what he's
Mm.
made. This weird over the top, very different from a lot of other stuff. So Yeah,
Yeah. No, I mean, just watching this like extended gameplay trailer, it's maybe the most I've seen in a while of like sitting down and watching the gameplay. It looks dope. The world looks incredibly beautiful. I love that open world aesthetic. It reminds me of Zelda, of Breath of the Wild. I don't
yeah.
know if it has the same. It seems more combat heavy and not as much on the like the puzzle aspect of Breath of the Wild, where you were mixing the like the using the elements together. But that's fine. Like I like that they're kind of picking a different lane and going more combat focused, and then you can change up what you do and be more dynamic with how you decide to tackle a situation. Yeah, no, and that's what I loved about like say Just Cause. I mean, you could just really do whatever you want and tackle the world how you wanted to do that, and it was always like crazy bonanza stuff going on. So if you can take the heart of that, throw it in with this cute world, I mean, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And that is one thing too he kind of mentioned is that sort of separates them from Breath of the Wild is like in the classic Zelda games, you really need to get these abilities to be able to get into these new areas. Whereas Breath of the Wild, absolutely just as soon as you get off that starting island, you can go anywhere. The only thing you got to get is like clothes occasionally or a couple of things. It sounds like this is a bit more, you really are going to have to get these abilities or these vehicles or get an
Mm,
alignment with this tribe to be able to access these areas. So that's sort of nice that it gives you that more ability gated. That is something that Breath of the Wild was kind of missing. So we'll see if this kind of strikes that balance, and if it does, maybe they'll inspire Nintendo to do kind of something kind of similar and give sort of back that fun feeling of progressing that way. But
sure.
yeah, looks
Yeah,
dope.
it's dope. I'm excited. Yeah, it's definitely lit more of a fire under my butt watching this. So I'm more interested in seeing what they come up with and what they show off. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That
yeah, Gavin.
that
So
being
well,
said, I do wish
mhm.
the fur shader looked better.
Interesting. Some of the grass looked really cool, but yeah, and it's I don't know if it's like locked into cutscenes where I feel like the cutscene fur looked better, but open world they have to I guess
Yeah,
take a hit. But
sure.
yeah, Gavin. So we'll end on our last article here. This is just an overview if we want to talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Did you watch some of the gameplay of that Nightwire event, and did you have some feelings on what they showed off?
I think I watched all of it. It's it's weird. It feels like to me, it feels like we didn't see that much information, but when journalists talk about it, they kind of brought up a lot.
Well, they got to play more, right? Because that was also tied with the whole they played like 4 hours, and that those impressions got to go live, and it seemed like overall positive too.
Yeah, I was definitely impressed by. I don't know why who convinced them to do this, but there are three different origin stories that you can play based on your class, and why you would spend that much money on something that how many people are going to play through this once and only see one. So there were three different stories, but that's really cool. That's
Right.
absolutely awesome that they're doing that. I really enjoyed the whole I guess the part where there's outside of Night City and it's sort of a desert. uh
Yeah.
and that's apparently a whole thing.
I'm kind of blown away. I mean, my biggest hesitation was like the driving. I feel like because the game was so high resolution and so detailed, like with driving, it was going to make it hard for it to process what's going on. But it seems like that's not really none of the playthroughs from the different like game journalists mentioned that at all. I feel like it all ran really smooth, and so they're really confident with just expanding the world and letting you just do exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I was told that the driving is sort of, they described it not quite as good as Grand Theft Auto, but it's pretty good. So
That's
it's
fine. I wouldn't expect it. I mean, as long as it doesn't like make the game chug, I think I'm okay with it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That'll be interesting. The gunplay sounds like the gunplay is pretty fun. I'd really love to know really how customizable you can go. That can I go an all melee route? I'd love to try
Mm.
it. Um, I certainly tried that in Outer Wilds and had no fun. But or Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds? Yeah, Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds, you're right.
But yeah, hopefully I it's gorgeous too. That's the
It
other
is,
thing.
yeah, very gorgeous. I'm interested and scared to see like the whole PC requirements because I think I do want to actually, if I can, I want to try this on PC and see the full extent of what it can do. Or, and I guess I'll have to, but like, or wait to play it on next gen. But I want to see the best visuals with this thing because I think they're really pushing it to the limit. But yeah, I was impressed with. I guess the only thing that I didn't care for and maybe it's different when you're playing it, but there's that mechanic where you can go in, and I guess they've done it in like the Dark Knight or the Batman games, where you can look at a situation or a scene and replay it and kind of in 360 walk around and do some like detective work and kind of figure out what happened in this like memory that you upload.
Brain Dance.
The brain dance, yes.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
I hear it was fun. It looked unique. It sounds. I'm guessing from how much it gets brought up. I'm guessing that it's probably going to be a bigger chunk of the game than we think.
Mm,
Um, but I'm also guessing it's not going to look as good on a stream or YouTube video as it is when you're actually playing it in front of you.
sure.
So that'll, yeah, we'll kind of have to wait and see on that one. But it looks neat. Hopefully it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of my like highly anticipated games, and really this is the next one in line after Last of Us, maybe Ghosts of Tsushima, but other than that, it's like this is the next one to really just wait for. But yeah, I mean, I'm confident, or I feel more confident now that this has been in the hands of people playing it for multiple hours, and it seems like I think I listened to GameSpot dissect and talk about their time. They were given like free range to kind of do what they wanted to do. There wasn't really limitations on it. So this is a workable build. They're just like apparently they're just bug testing right now. That's why they delayed it. So they're pretty confident where it's at now. And there's just so much hype of this game. You really have to nail it, and it seems like it's on track for them to nail it.
Yeah. I'll be curious to like when it's all said and done and this generation's, done and dusted, will this be considered the most ambitious game of this generation? Uh, be
It's
interesting.
possible because I think there's comparisons you could say with like Red Dead 2. That
Mhm.
one is more, they really wanted to flush out that world and make it super detailed and rich, and you had options. But I think this is a different route where this does
Yeah.
have that same level of detail, but there's so many different things you can do and options to live in this world with rather when Red Dead, like they just try to make everything so much more realistic and feel like lived in, and this is doing that, but also giving you so much more options to play.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. One thing they did point out is that while this, I think I believe this is kind of their words is, while this is the biggest game they've ever done, space wise, physical area wise, it is not. Um, it's just there's a lot to this game, but yeah, also not space wise, which is again as we discussed earlier, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I want to hear.
Certainly in that trailer, like there's a ton of like cutscenes and stuff you see in like the sizzle reel trailer, and they said that's just for the first chapter of the game. Um, Something they also mentioned that they're very proud of is they said there are absolutely no filler side missions in this game or filler missions. This is all we worked very hard on this and put a lot of effort. So
Mm,
that could feel, a lot of people said with The Witcher, some of these side missions are just as good, if not better, than the main story. So the fact that
right.
they're going to turn that up to 11 here is really, really cool. And yeah.
But I hope also because I've heard the same thing with The Witcher and I played like 5 minutes of it, like realistically like 3 or 4 hours.
Mhm.
But there's just so much out there. There's so many options, and like as far as like side quests to go, if you can if you can dwindle that to just the core ones that really hit hard, the ones that are really worth your time, and if they take that kind of mantra over, where they have a lot of optional content, but it's all like curated. It's the best stuff that continues at least the experience forward, if not the story forward. But yeah, I'm hoping that they really dial that in, because a lot of the complaints or issues I've heard with The Witcher is there's just so much, and it fills up your map, and there's just so many different routes, and you kind of forget what you're doing, and it's just too much content, and it needs to be kind of like just dialed in a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of with the limited time I played The Witcher, I was impressed by the fact that I got to that point instantly. You start it up
That's
and
how I
it's
felt. Yeah.
all uh
Yep. just poops all over you, but
yeah. Like
uh,
I think the first thing it like dumps you in this bar and it's like you can talk to all of them. No, I'm already socially exhausted.
yeah.
This introvert needs a nap.
Yeah, I think it was also GameSpot, maybe another outlet. They talked about how they're just walking around the map, and they almost like favored not. using the car and just like walking through the city because there's so much going on. And if it's not like actual side quests, it's NPCs that are just like feeling like they live there, like they're having no interactions. There's like fight outs with the cops that'll just zoom by you. There's this whole like bustling nightlife that doesn't care if whether you're there or not. I love that idea. Like I want more of that in this style of gameplay where it's just like the world doesn't give a shit about you. It's just living, and every NPC feels like they're going somewhere, they're doing something.
I really hope they commit to that because that can lead to those stories where occasionally it'll be frustrating. But let's say you're just walking across the street and all of a sudden, like, you just get ran over by a criminal running from the cops and then get run over from that. Like, I'm sure sometimes that'll be infuriating and mad and maybe you lose some
Right.
progress. But those few times where you're just laughing your ass off because some emergent gameplay like that, I really, really hope they commit to that.
Or think of like Skyrim. They did that where you would be fighting a giant and then a bear would come out of nowhere just because that's his AI to like roam around, and they lock eyes and they fight. Like that kind of stuff where you're on a mission and this gang happens to be there because they're just patrolling around, and then chaos ensues. Like stuff like that would just, it just makes you feel like this is a real city.
Yeah. I think one thing, kind of watching some of the footage, it does look, I think graphics, especially during the day, I think they look a lot more doable. For some
Mm,
reason, like the city looks so ridiculously good looking at night. It doesn't look like anybody's computer will run this fucking thing. But you look at it the day and it's like, okay, that kind of looks like a video game, you know?
gotcha.
And that's kind of why I got to thinking about the skin thing is it still has that video gamey looking skin. And it doesn't seem to have that.
Like
So
plasticky kind of.
yeah, like yeah. So I think if they could have gotten rid of that, that would have made me a lot more happy. But there's just so much going on that they don't have the time. So if it was hardware accelerated, then everybody has the time. You can do it on every surface. Um, but yeah, so it's a looker. But I think it's in the realm of doability. I'm sure your computer, because your computer is way more powerful than both of your consoles. So I'm sure your computer can run this thing probably at a decent settings. Um, yeah. I still
Hope
need to
so.
look at that website you were telling me about that helps you pick out those parts. I'd be curious to see what I could upgrade my current computer to. Uh,
Yeah, that one was a lifesaver. It's a pcpartpicker.com, and you just plug in the stuff you got, and it all tells you what works, what doesn't. Even like physically, some graphics, like it has the sizes of graphics cards, so it will tell you, oh, this won't
right.
fit in your case. This will bump into this thing. Yeah, really in depth.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I'd have to do it over time.
Yeah, for sure.
But which I think was your intent, and then you're like, well, oh no.
I did it mostly over time, but I think at the end bit, I was just kind of, yeah, adding
I think
stuff or taking stuff back and changing my mind, upgrading, getting more expensive parts I
right.
didn't intend on. But yeah,
I think that's sort of the thing that's got me scared right now is because of Corona. I've been able to save some money because I'm not going out to eat every night. I'm not drinking as much, or I wasn't anyway. So I was able to save all this money so I could afford a new gaming PC. But that being said, like it's all down the toilet if I get sick.
yeah, it's not going to help you. These, 120 hertz or whatever frame rates aren't going to help you if you're dead. So,
Right. So, well, not even that, but like if like let's say I can't work for a
right,
few weeks.
right.
I have one week worth of sick pay and then I'd have to take care of the rest on my own. So,
Yeah,
that's yeah.
I hear you, Gavin. But I like to burn the candle at both ends, just like to let it roll and see what happens.
You got to. I'll look into this though. I'm curious
Yeah.
to see what upgrades if I could play a Doom. That
Hmm.
would be nice.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Gavin. Well, let's end it there. We've been going a good hour and a half. Where can they find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter at Drunk Devs.
Awesome. You can find us on Twitter as well, Plastic Heart Pod. That's it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.